How's it going, everybody? Welcome back from the break, and welcome back to the Bushiroad Championship Series World Finals event held here in Los Angeles, California. We're going to be getting into top 8 in just a sec, but before we do that, gotta give you guys a quick reminder about the Cardfight Vanguard Dear Days sleeves competition, where you can design an original sleeve design that could make its way into Cardfight Vanguard Dear Days. So that contest is still ongoing until February 26th, so you have just about a month to do so. You guys can scan the QR code on your screen or head to the site that appears right next to it in order to check that out yourself and maybe get your design for sleeves into Cardfight Vanguard Dear Days. So here we are. We're about to go into top 8. We started the day with what, around 45-ish players, I believe?
Yeah, I think it was 45, give or take a few.
Okay, and then we have now gotten to the final 8. Have you taken a look at what we have in store for us in this top 8 today?
I've taken a quick glance, but here we are on the screen. I think we can see the play names. So in the quarterfinals, we have Matthew Mead versus Tim, sorry if I get that name wrong, Surin. Second, we've got Christian Yabaha versus Michael Dolittle. Then Mark Guan versus Gordon Lai, and finally Clinton Chan versus William Tang. So we'll have a single elimination into the semi-finals, and then finals plus third and fourth place match to decide our champion for the Bushiroad Championship Series 2022 season.
So many of these players we have already seen on stream games earlier in the day. Players like,
I think 5 or so of them have been on stream. So.
Yeah, I believe we've seen, we definitely saw Mark, Christian, Matthew, I believe was in our first round. Tim, I believe was in our second, and then who do we have for... And of course, Clinton.
Yes, of course.
So we have a lot of familiar faces that we have seen throughout the day who have been continuing to do well, and hopefully will continue to do so into our top 8. So I think we're just about ready to get in. For our quarterfinals stream match, we have for you Clinton coming right back with the That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime deck. Of course, running the quote-unquote Clinton special.
Yep. So that's for the unfamiliar, that is the level 1 Shizu gate combo plus the level 3 Shizu book or draw climax combo. And against him we have William Tang playing the quintessential quintuplets. So it looks like they've started, and William is going first. He's clocked the level 3 Ichika change, and he is playing the level 0 Nino, the one on the restriction list, to discard a level 1 Nino, draw on card, and then discarded an early play Miku to access a card from the waiting room. He's at a level 0 back. So it looks like William's playing some unconventional cards. I don't think we've seen that level 3 Miku quite yet. But anyway, he keeps attacking. So that's a direct attack for 2, and he's also put
direct attack for 3.
For 3, sorry, yeah. So, and he's put a level 1 Nino in the front row with the standby that he's triggered. So I'd say it's off to a good start. I don't think Slime is typically able to fight level 1 5/5 in the front row on its first turn, so that should be a pretty nice defender right there. Alright, so that's 2 attacks from Clinton, and the damage, first one cancels, second one sticks, putting William on 0 and 4, so I'd say he's pretty comfortable right now.
Yeah, so I think what William's really looking to do here is get a really nice standby target into his waiting room. Currently does not have the level 1 or the level 2 combo standby in his hand. He has the level 3 climax.
Yeah.
So looking to do something with that.
Alright, and he wasn't able to draw the level 2 climax there, although I don't think it's particularly urgent that he gets it yet. And he's moved his level 1 in front of the level 0 Milim, which is a level 0 reverser, which means that it can't reverse that level 1. Yeah. And it's another copy of the level 0 Nino.
Honestly, I think the most important thing that William wants to do here is get better quality of standby targets into his waiting room.
Yeah, probably. So he's discarded a level 3 to add a level 0 back to his hand, and I think he's contemplating whether he wants to take the draw or not. It's not a particularly useful card, the Brainstorm, at this point in the game. He might want it for later, though, so looks like he does take the draw, discarding the level 0 Nino that he added to his hand earlier in the game.
I think it's probably better than the current quality of cards that are in the hand.
Yeah, it can connect to a follow another play. Oh, he shuffles 2 back pretty early on. He might actually just be playing the climax here, or do you think he's doing that for the soul?
I think that it's not only for the soul, but also as preparation. I don't think that the climax is actually going to come down this turn, as the the waiting room, I don't think has any really good standby targets at all.
I think William would rather wait to bring something more powerful out later in the game. So it does look like Clinton's level 0 Milim, the one that has 3/5 power.
Okay.
All right.
I don't think he's going to be...
He's not going to be stopping on hand for a while.
I was going to say, I don't think he's going to be using his level 2 combo.
Yeah, that too. So that's 3 Savages, which is a pretty big card advantage swing this early in the game.
But now there are definitely no good standby targets in the waiting room. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, he's just removed 3 climaxes from his deck, so odds are that he might not actually bring anything out.
Is he going to shuffle 2 back again?
That's
unusual. Very aggressive.
Yeah, very. But if you do look at Williams' list, I think he has a much more aggressive-looking list compared to other lists we've seen earlier. He's playing the set 1 Ichika, which has the same ability as the level 0 Aqua or Laplace that we've been seeing in Hololive. So you can pay 1 and put 1 card in your clock to add 2 characters on the top 2 cards of your deck. Rest go to the waiting room.
Yeah, it's basically, more specifically, it's more like the Escanor because they both have a 2k power line.
Ah, yeah, sorry. That would be a better example.
Yeah, but also doesn't clock from the waiting room. It clocks from the top card of the deck.
The cost is slightly different. But
okay, that is not what Clinton really wants to see right now.
That's 3 copies of level 1 gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ooh, all right. And that's also a Ramirez gone, so it looks like his prospects of comboing this turn are a bit grim.
Yeah, the hand looking like 2 copies of the Shizu level 3 and then a bunch of all right cards, but not super amazing.
Yeah. I guess on the other hand, though, William isn't exactly like super high rolling. It doesn't have a bunch of level 1s on the board. 2 of the cards in the front row are level 0s. I think he'll still be able to deal with that fairly easily, so he can sit back for 1 turn, just try and get ready, I guess.
Would you go for... Actually, no, that's a book. That's not even a Pants Climax in,
all right.
in Clinton's hand right now. So even with that Ramirez in hand, it doesn't seem like it's time to go for a combo.
Yeah, but he does need to somewhat replace his board in the sense that he wants to make attacks, or otherwise he's going to easily fall behind. So, so Brainstorm hit 1, and that's also a 4th copy of Shizu, if that matters. But I think with that many Shizus out and no Climax in hand, he might actually just try and... but I don't think I see a Ramirez in there, so I guess he would probably...
Well, he has Ramirez in hand already.
Yeah, he has one in hand, but I think... I was thinking maybe that he might have wanted to Ramirez 2 turns in a row to send 2 Shizus away and get ready, but that doesn't seem to be the avenue that he can go for right now.
I think one of the good attackers that Clinton has in his hand already is that level 0 Shizu. You can put in the now empty center slot, use a direct attack. The buff, honestly, doesn't do very much, as one of Williams' cards on the front row is very small and the other one is very large. So I don't think the buff is going to matter very much, but the Shizu does have the secondary effect where when she gets reversed during the opponent's turn, you can pay 1 to put her back to rest, and then if you do that at the start of the opponent's, or at the start of your next Encore step, you return her to, or you send her to memory. So it's a way to build additional memory while simultaneously retaining attackers on the board. And looks like we are going to see the Ramirez after all.
Yeah. And it's bringing out probably a level 1 combo. Yep, there it is. Clinton has also gained a marker on the level 1 Rimmer in the back row, which Quintuplets does not have any stock swap or adjacent abilities, so any stock that Clinton is able to accumulate will go straight towards his compression and can't be used against him. So off to a decent recovery, I guess.
So it seems like the plan is to put the Shizu in front of the 1/1. Now the real question is the plan to front with it or side with it? Because if you front here, it does run the risk of potentially not being able to go to memory, since it has to be on the board at the end of the turn. And if she gets reversed, then she will go to the waiting room before end of turn actually happens.
Yeah, she will still go to memory upon being reversed if she flips a flips a character or a mask event.
Yeah, but if you whiff.
But if you miss it, it's going to be pretty tragic for Clinton. So not sure if he wants to take that risk, but damage is also something that he might want here. Let's see how that goes. Yep. So triggered a book there, drew 1, and looks like that was a side for 1. So Clinton's taking the guaranteed memory here. which I guess makes sense because Clinton does need memory condition for both of his early play and his finisher. So I don't think this is really the time to be taking risks from his point of view.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and William, on the other hand, I think he's pretty comfortable being on level 1 with only 1 card in clock. And hits Brainstorm again. So, yeah, he's not going to be running out of hand anytime soon, even though he can't land the 2-2 in the front row as early as he would like.
I'm surprised that Brainstorm hit, considering that 4 were shuffled back and 6 are already out.
That is true.
Or that's 7 out. That's actually all... Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5...
I think we see 1, 2, 3, 4...
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, yeah, 6 in waiting room, and then 1 more in hand.
Yeah. Well, looks like William might want to go through his deck pretty fast then. But if I remember correctly about his deck, he's not playing the level 0 Itsuki with the top 4 effect when it goes to the waiting room.
That is correct.
Yeah. So in order to go through his deck, he's probably going to have to use his Ichika Brainstorm, which he can access if he wanted to. He could just salvage it, or he can use the level 0 Nino in his hand to add it back to his hand as well. But he's getting the level 0 Ichika, which, because the way it pays cost is from the top of the deck, it does send 3 cards from the top of the deck, either to hand or to waiting room or to clock, so it does shave a bit off. So that does work if his deck size is maybe a little bit thicker than what he can get through with 3 attacks. So maybe 7 will be 3 attacks plus 3 cards shaved would be 6 cards and can leave 1 on the bottom. But still contemplating, and he gets a level 1 that he plays straight out onto the board.
I think that's a pretty interesting choice.
It actually does occur a lot that by playing out the 1-1 at this point, it either strains your opponent's resources enough in the long run that it's to your advantage, or your opponent just ignores it. And ultimately, it just benefits you in card advantage. So I think it makes sense to do that. But
we're seeing another shuffle back too.
That's the 3rd time he's done that this game, I think. Is that his 3rd turn?
That is the 3rd time, yeah.
So once per turn on average.
Every single turn, I think one of these has been played, and then just 2 shuffle back.
Yep. All right, so that's another Soul Pump, and he is playing aggressively here. Plays that Climax, returns to hand to give the top check 2 ability. I am assuming he's going to bring out a 2-2. Yep. Yep, and that level 0 can survive unless...
It actually can be contested.
Yes.
If the 1-1 fronts in the middle,
and then gets the reverse.
Nino, Nino Brainstorm will give 500 power to the level 0, and then they tie.
Yep. I'm not sure what people around the world call that ability, which gives power when you reverse an opponent's character, but I think we agreed upon calling it snowballing.
Yeah, I call it snowball. So like, if it gives 500 power when you reverse one of your opponent's characters, I call it snowball 500. And then if it's when your character gets reversed, I tend to call it revenge 500.
I think those are names that pretty intuitive and hopefully get adopted in day-to-day speech enough. Anyhow, so that first reverse went in. So, he pumped to the middle. Sorry. Yeah. And then he gave the 1k to the level 0, which means that this one can match in power.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's for 1. And then directing for 3. All right. And that 3 lands, which means that Clinton is on, what's that, 1 and 5?
1-5, yes.
Yeah, that's a pretty comfortable place to be in.
Oh, that's a card that's nice to see.
Yeah, I think so. All right.
Getting that deck count in, so gonna try to account for specific numbers of cards being milled from the deck, whether it's by the level 1 combo or by brainstorms or by clocking.
Mm-hmm. So he clocks there to go through 2 cards.
2 masks, but there are no Shizu level 1 combos left in the deck.
Yeah, and there's 1 in memory and I think 3 just in the waiting room. So he's going to need to find a way to access that. All right.
This is what? So all 4 of the pants are accounted for, with 3 of them in the waiting room and the last copy in hand.
Yeah. So pretty good draw there. All right, he's using 1 copy of the anti-spell mask to set the deck for a character.
Yeah, appropriately pays out that climax. And it looks like there are 2 books remaining in the deck.
Yeah, not ideal. He either has to trigger those or just send them to waiting room and not get very much climax value out of it. But I guess at this point he'd rather just mill them, because drawing off the book climax would mean that it potentially messes with the count of cards that he has around in his deck. All right, and then Master Memory.
Oh, this is going to change the deck state even more if he decides to play that. But it looks like instead just going straight for the Shuna, hoping to try to hit both climaxes, only hits one. I will say, I don't think that this is necessarily a bad state to be in. What you can do here is you can Shizu combo with 2 cards in deck.
Yeah.
And prior to the refresh rules, you would mill 2, and then you would refresh, and then you would get nothing because there would be nothing in your waiting room.
Yeah.
But thanks to the new refresh rules, since you take refresh point in the middle of the ability resolving, what's going to happen is Clinton is going to mill the last 2, which guarantees that the book goes back into his deck. And then he's going to take refresh point, level up, and he will have a bunch of cards in his waiting room to choose from with the combo. So that's a really nice change.
Yep.
And it's not often that you see... going with that first.
That doesn't seem to be...
50-50.
Wow.
That's nifty.
That is a baller move. Damage lands as well. All right, so that's 4 damage in, and then because of the level 0 pumping power to the level 1 combo, it is now able to scale over the level 1. But yeah, this is where what I was saying about accessing the level 1 and just playing it straight up. Yeah, because William put 2 1/1s out into the front row, due to the way that he knows his opponent's power lines are capped at 7k unless he pumps a little bit more, one of them does survive here. So it does pay off, I think, to do that right here. All right, and then a bit more shuffling going on, but I believe the process is that he's going to take refresh penalty, level up, and then send 1 more card from the deck to the waiting room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same change to refresh rules also impacts these sort of situations where if on the off chance Clinton would mill a climax on like he would have right there.
Yeah.
If the refresh wasn't interrupting that, he would have milled the climax and then salvaged nothing, and then he would have been pretty sad.
Yeah. But at least in this case, even if he mills another climax, he can still salvage a level 0. Oh my gosh, he actually did it. All right. Well, we were saying milling climax is unfortunate, but due to the new refresh rules, you can, fortunately, still get a salvage and not feel too bad. Oh my gosh, that is another climax. And I guess the good news for Clinton is that William still does take the damage there, but yeah, losing 3 climaxes off the top of your new deck like that is pretty painful. I guess it is somewhat... Oh, what the... That's a 4th climax leaving the deck, I think.
Yeah, so it was what, two books milled, 1 book triggered, 1 pants milled.
Yep. All right.
Meanwhile, William on the other side is like, what's the worry? Just shuffle 2 cards into your deck and hit your opponent.
Yeah, well, right. That took an interesting turn for sure.
Yeah, I think it is important to consider William's potential damage.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I think you're probably okay with taking that. It's a cancel, right?
I guess, yeah. It is true. But now that William has that information, he can front and direct accordingly as well. And judging by the way William's been playing these past few turns, I think he's probably going to try and play a bit more aggressively again. This time his deck is actually thin, so he can shuffle back and not have to expose an uncompressed deck either. So William is actually in a pretty nice spot here. Probably unexpectedly for both players in the game as well. So there's a level 0 Nino, which he's playing, and discards the anti-change to reveal top here instead of drawing, and he sees the level 0, so looks like he's going to salvage a level 0. Yep, that looks like his favorite level 0 in the deck. I would be entirely unsurprised if he chooses that, but there are other good options as well, so it could...
I mean, it would basically be perfect at this point, right?
Oh, yeah, it's a brilliant opportunity. He looked very excited to show that card to Clinton. Anyhow. Oh, but... Oh, he's not playing
going
it.
In for
Oh,
attacks.
all right. Sure. So, yep, we knew that was going to be cancel, and that one goes to memory. Front here for 2. Yep.
Oh,
that cancels too.
okay.
All right.
I think that's a we take those if I ever saw one.
Oh,
my gosh. Can I cancel like that?
Wow, is that all 8 climaxes gone?
That is all 8. Yep.
That was the fastest 8 gone we've seen today.
Uh-huh.
So Clinton now just can do whatever he wants in this deck as long as he just doesn't pass on it.
Oh, he's got so much playability with his hand right now.
Yeah. No, that was not what we thought we'd be seeing.
And then he even has great options to get through the rest of the deck now that all the climaxes are out, and he can pretty much just. Well, it does require crashing in quite a bit of board. I'm actually surprised to see Clinton clocking that particular card, but we can't exactly see the size of his deck. But I think that clocking the Fukujiro here is a pretty interesting choice, as it is a way to get through the deck pretty nicely.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what he's up to here. So, I think, he's going to go with the anti-spell mask to search for a character while compressing his deck.
Oh, that deck is quite large.
Yeah, it looks to be about maybe 10 cards.
We see the return of the
here we are,
the not-so-free refresh Rimuru.
It's, I guess, better than... It's better than eating, like, whatever you leave at the end of the time.
And as anticipated, as this card is not very popular, we will have William reading this card.
Yep. All right. And then, is he going to do anything before he plays down that Rimmer he just searched, or...?
That is the question. Just all 8 chilling there. Just straight into the Rimuru. All right. Using the on-play ability, pay 1, clock a Demon Continent character from your waiting room.
Yep.
And then put all the cards from your waiting room back into your deck. Just going to situate that Rimuru. Personally, I think I would have gone for another blue card if it were me, as the 2 colors that are currently in the level zone are a yellow and red.
Yeah.
And if Clinton hypothetically were to play the 3/2 Shizu healer that is in hand right now, it would heal off the blue, and then you potentially might be missing blue on future turns, which could be quite important.
Yeah. And he plays another Chloe, and I think he's going to search for a mask.
I think it's very interesting considering that he already has a mask in his hand.
Yeah. But I mean, he saw his deck in waiting room, so I'm sure he knows the last mask is currently in his deck, just so he can get that 1 card compression.
Are we going to see one of those look at how much memory I have games?
Possibly.
Yeah, so I
didn't expect it at the beginning, but it might be looking to be that way.
Yeah, because we already have the 2 copies of Shizu. We have 2 copies of Mask. Yep. We might see 2 more entering very soon. We have the level 0 Shizu on stage that was saved by paying 1 stock and is going to be going to memory as well very soon. This is just kind of what the Shizu decks aim to do, is just naturally get a whole bunch of cards into memory. Normally use a lot of early play healers in order to maintain your state in the game and then just outlast your opponent. But of course, with the Clinton version of the deck, adding in that extra offensive push at the end with the level 3 Shizu combo, I think is a very nice touch.
All right, so it looks like he's not... wait, no, he can use the level 2 Rimmer to contest the 2/2 Nino, or can't he?
They would be tying.
Yeah.
Oh, until this level 0 Shizu uses her ability.
So there's a cancel from William. It's a cancel for 1, so not particularly exciting, but cancel nonetheless. Cancel.
Another cancel. Are we just going to be triple canceling back and forth today?
Yeah, I'm not sure how comfortable I'd feel as William in that scenario, though, because we do know that Clinton's finisher does burn for straight 4, and if you cancel shallow like that, you might just take a big instance of 4 and then 3 later on in the game and go straight to level 4 from that.
Yeah.
So,
and that has been a recurring theme of today.
Yeah,
it's just like, hey,
has been.
I'm level 2. I'm okay. No, I'm not.
Yeah,
oh
so
my god.
I think it's about time that William starts considering how he's going to go through his deck.
Oh no, he's going to shuffle 2 cards back. I don't know what you're talking about.
It could be, but yeah, with a triple cancel off the top like that, which incidentally, Clinton also had 3 on the top last turn. But yeah, Clinton could go combo to search combo and then play that and then use book and go burn 4, which in that deck state seems entirely possible that it's going to stick. Okay, no time, just brainstorm and hit 1.
No clock as well.
No clock either, yeah. I think he needs to stay on lower clock just to make sure that his odds of just taking whatever straight to she's the finisher doesn't instantly just end the game for him.
Yeah, it looks like the Ichika Brainstorm is the play here.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful card that allows you to go through many, many, many cards of the deck.
Minimum 9, and for each Brainstorm hit, you can go for one more as long as you have an Ichika in the deck to search. So, yeah, I think that's probably what he wants to do now. I don't think I see a Climax in his hand, so he will need to find something to rest here.
It could just be something else in the back row, perhaps. Or maybe just not even going for the Brainstorm and just going to be utilizing the Pay 1 sack top 4.
Yeah.
Or actually just going straight into attacks.
Interesting. I didn't expect him to just play the Brainstorm and leave it in the back row, but I guess that is what... Is his hand size quite big, maybe?
I think it is quite big.
Okay, that would make more sense.
Yeah, so here we're seeing a very interesting choice of early play for the quintessential quintuplets. So this is a 3-2 Miku. Technically, it could go into any build.
Yeah, it doesn't have any character-restricted text.
Yeah, no name-restricted, rather. So this can be early played while you have 4 more quintuplets characters on stage, and it heals and then gains 2k during your turn. So it's somewhat similar to like Aqua from Konosuba type of profiles, except instead of being a heal to stock, it is a heal to waiting room. And I think it's a very interesting choice compared to what you would maybe more commonly see in these 8 standby decks, which is the yellow Ichika early play.
Yeah. I said in one of the earlier stream games that quintuplets likes leaving open space in the back row, just so it has space to take advantage of standby and just put new characters there so it can move forward. But because of the early play condition of Miku, if you do play this card and then don't do anything else, you don't have any space to reanimate new characters into without playing over. So that is kind of maybe one reason that this card doesn't see as much play, but you can bypass this by, in the current scenario, for example, William could use the non-brainstorm ability of his Ichika, so he can move it out of the way and then catch another character that comes out of a standby. But fortunately, he did not trigger standby last turn, so he didn't need to worry about that.
Yeah, I actually think more likely the main reason behind the Miku might be color.
Color is also probably an issue, yeah.
The only yellow that's in this particular Quince deck are the 4 copies of the Ichika level 0, and then only 1 copy of the Ichika 3-2 Assists.
Yeah.
That's usually a card that probably sees play at like 2 copies.
I believe,
probably, right?
In fact, every quintuplets list that somebody played and qualified for Worlds with played 2 copies of that card. So this is a different ratio to all the lists that people qualified with.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a lot of very unique choices in this list in general. Just the inclusion of the 3-2 Miku, I think, is a very unique choice. In addition, that card that we earlier labeled as William's favorite card, as we look at the deck list, is actually a 4 of in the list, which I would also not think is normal. I think probably not even 3 is normal, right?
I think almost every list I've seen is on 2 copies. Mostly just so you can set up for your later game turns, especially, and it lets you sometimes high roll, and the +1k is also important. It just has a lot of rolls, but you know you can only realistically use 2 in a single turn. So if you plan to use the effect very often, like William does, I think it makes sense to play 4. But otherwise, I think people just stick to 2 because of space reasons.
So looking at Clinton's hand right now, he does look pretty set up for the late game with already 2 copies of the Shizu level 3 and the book Climax all ready to go. Now the real question is, when will he hit level 3? And how much stock is he going to actually have going into level 3? Oh, decides to just play the book aggressively.
Does he have another book in his hand?
He doesn't.
Interesting.
Which is the very interesting part.
So it looks like he's playing for compression this game. He also doesn't play around the anti-change counter, which William actually plays 3 copies of, although he discarded 1 copy earlier in the game.
That was actually a side attack. As we
was
saw
that a side? Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, just 1 damage.
All right, there it is.
And then we are going to see the anti-change counter for Quince coming out.
Yep, so it only costs an additional 2 stock, but requires you to have 4 quintuplets characters on the board, which most of the time you kind of do, so it's not a huge issue, but it is a condition that you occasionally need to watch out for. But in this case, William successfully used it and turned off an attack. Clinton did get the stock off it though, so it's not the worst, but turning off an attack for 3 stock is kind of like healing 3 for 3, which is a very good value there. So,
yeah, not only did Clinton also get the stock for the attack, but more importantly, digging towards that 3rd trigger that was the pants that got him back the book.
Yeah. All right.
And once again, we're just seeing William just going straight into attacks.
Yep, looks like he's still just gonna sit on that deck for a bit, which Clinton might be able to capitalize on that by sticking a lot of burns into it, but we'll see how it goes.
Well, I think if the triggers keep going clean like they have been so far.
Yeah, maybe it's not as much of an issue. All right, so that 2 lands, and I think that levels him up. Yep, looks like it.
Gonna finally
That's
level
blue.
that blue.
Yep. And direct for 4. Ooh. I think that's canceling? Yeah.
Okay. So Clinton
Because-
currently out 5 climaxes, I believe, with 4 in waiting room, 1 in stock, 1 in hand, if I'm not mistaken. So that leaves 2 climaxes left in the deck.
Mhm.
Now the real question is, does he pull the trigger here? I honestly think that this is probably a really good position to go for it.
Yeah, Clinton's finisher doesn't heal, it touches on play, which means that if he doesn't now, it puts damage into William's clock, and then even if William doesn't lose the game on this turn, he'll probably not be on 3-0 on the following one. So, you know, Clinton can survive one more turn and then go for it. Whereas if Clinton wastes one more turn, he can't heal down. So his finisher play kind of ends up being a bit more of a Hail Mary, and I think the sort of plan flexibility that doing it this turn offers is what he'd be after. Does it?
Oh, sorry. There's 3 in deck still. There's 2 books and 1 pants.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. But it looks like there's only 1 copy of the finisher in Clinton's hand, as he didn't have another copy left in the deck.
Yeah. So there's the one that was played, and then there's the other one that's in hand.
Yeah.
So if he's shuffling this much right now, I'm not sure if he intends to play the second copy. I feel like he would have just gone right back in, you know?
Yeah, yeah. You can. You are allowed to shortcut things in WS, where if you're going to go through your deck again, you don't have to shuffle again because, well, shuffling doesn't really affect anything. All right, and he gains a marker there, so he's pretty happy to still go for stock conversion. Oh, looks like he's going. I guess he wasn't sure if he was going to go through again.
All right. Now the real question is, with a deck like this, where you are 3 and 6, you are putting yourself at a bit of a risk of triggering and getting all your climaxes into your stock right before a refresh.
Yeah.
Now the dream is you just attack 3 times and it's all clean.
Yeah. Bit of a bit ask, but I think it's probably slightly annoying for Clinton that he's playing book triggers. So if he plays a book, if he does want to get the card advantage off it, he risks losing more climaxes from his deck before he passes to his opponent's turn. So he might have to be a bit careful about that. Anyhow.
We're going to go in with the attack into the level 3 first, which I definitely think is correct, as it leaves the siding options for later.
Yep, so the 4 cancel shallow, which is a bit uncomfortable. Oh, all right, so that cancels as well. And I don't think Clinton took the draw. Yeah, Clinton didn't take the draw there.
Yeah, I don't think you need to take the draw necessarily.
No, I don't think so that's a 3.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
That cancels as well.
This is truly the top 8 player diff.
Yep.
These guys are canceling like mad right now.
Yep.
And there's the last
oh my
one.
Gosh. Well, all right. Guess William is not going to be in an uncomfortable damage position.
Well, William's just been showing us all day. Just shuffle 2 back, just attack 3 times, and
Yep.
just don't trigger climaxes, and you're chilling.
He knows what he wants, and he knows how to get it. All right.
Okay.
That cancels. Wow. All right. And I think Shizu combo means that she has to go to the waiting room regardless of power comparison at the end of the turn.
Correct.
Yeah. So because he couldn't take the draw off his book, it looks like Clinton's in a bit of a tight spot in terms of resources. His front rows open up, which he does have a cancel or 2 in the deck, but yeah, he's not gonna be able to make a very easy comeback turn next turn. He can heal or generate stock with the back row, but it's interesting to see how this will turn out. All right, so
Well, there are two guaranteed cancels in the deck, right?
yeah, I believe it's 2. So yeah, he's not. He shouldn't immediately get hit the level 4 right here, but let's see what's up. Oh, all right. So looks like William is playing around. Oh yeah, sorry.
Just
Okay.
playing that to the back row to heal down,
Heal
and then maybe
down.
he's just gonna attack 3 times.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
And then maybe if a standby gets triggered, the 3-2 Ichika will come out over the Nino Brainstorm.
Yeah, it's interesting that he played over the level 1 as opposed to the level 0, and, even if it's going to move it to the back row, because there's a small trick you can do where if you have the Ichika assist, which pumps soul every time you reanimate a character, you can reanimate over a card with Encore, and then you can Encore the card that was just sent to the waiting room, and you can proc it twice on the same standby trigger. So if you really need the reach or damage modulation, that is a trick that sometimes comes up. But I guess it doesn't really matter, seeing as he's not bringing out the assist.
If anything, I think that the reason to keep the level 0 of the 1-1 is just to remove siding options for Clinton. In the
I was going to go to the back row, but yeah. I think in 2 turns it was possible that might have been a problem. Anyhow. So cancel there, and then direct there.
For 2,
yeah.
And that is going to stick.
If he had attacked with the level 2 last as opposed to the Brainstorm, he might have done one more. Oh, it would actually have cancelled. Okay. Paid off, I suppose.
Oh, it's some hindsight stuff.
Yeah, it's some hindsight.
Are we going to see the mythical level 1 combos at level 3?
It happens.
We have. All right. Well.
Oh, so he can now search for the level 3 Shizu, and then
search for the Climax Swapper, maybe.
Yeah, or maybe that. But yeah, he can play that to search again, and then he can generate stock with the back row to pay for something else. Yep. So there it is. And then Shizu gets played down.
And then Climax Swapper. There we go.
There it is. All right, that suddenly looks a lot more threatening.
Yeah, he literally just went from a whole lot of nothing to a whole lot of everything. And then suddenly this board is looking real scary. We have 2 burn 4s, 2 attacks for 3, an attack for 2. That allows you to choose your trigger from the top 2. I think this is definitely a pretty scary scenario for William.
Yeah, and that last 2-2 staying on the board, which is a side attack target, might be a little bit painful, but we'll see how it goes. So that's a burn for 4, cancels. For 3, cancels.
Oh my god.
This man is too powerful.
Holy.
That's the first time I've seen damage stick in like 2 turns, was it?
Something like that. It did not choose to choose trigger. I would have at least like picked up the top card and like contemplated.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at 1 and just keep it, and you don't lose anything for doing that. Well,
yeah. Because the way the ability works is you look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, but because it says up to 2, you can look at the first one and then decide if you want to go on to the second one. And
shook hands. I think Clinton probably just...
Perhaps it was a timeout?
No, I don't believe we're that heavily into time. Wait. Well, let's just follow what's going on.
Okay, sure.
Looks like the game's continuing.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so Clinton is on 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So he can only take 2 damage.
Yeah.
But that's guaranteed. All right, the special, yep. So +1 soul to the character facing an opposing character means that all 3 characters can attack for a default of 3 soul. That's a
and then there's 1 standby there.
But he doesn't bring anything out. The damage lands, and the game goes to William.
Yeah, I was thinking that it might have been damage comparison at the end of time, because Clinton did gesture. He like kind of did a gesture towards his own clock and the opponent's clock, and
I thought it was possibly Clinton just saying that he doesn't have any odds of surviving, maybe due to the number of climaxes, but I think he had enough climaxes actually. So
yeah, he only had. I'm pretty sure he was only out the 2 climaxes, the one that he played, and then the one that he used to climax swap into the one that was in the waiting room.
Well, unfortunately, that is the end of the run for Clinton, and William will be advancing to top 4, the semifinals. So, yeah, that was a great game, though, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think that out of all of the Quince games that we've seen today, that was definitely the most uniqueness that we've seen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've never seen that card being used so many times in one game.
Yeah, but for sure, I think I don't know if like the discipline is the right word here, but just like the he just sort of had the intuition to just kind of not try to overcomplicate the situation. Just go for attack. Just attack. Just just chill. I'm out 4. I've got 4 climaxes still in my deck. I don't want to disrupt it too much. Let's just turn a few cards sideways and hope that there's not any in the top 3.
And like, it's not as if he was incredibly likely to double trigger, triple trigger in that scenario either. So even if he had triggered 1, I don't think he would have been in a massively terrible position. So yeah, I think it. Yeah. So yeah, I think some of the other top 8 matches have been finishing up. That was quintuplets versus slime.
All right, so we actually do have the semifinals up. So we have Matthew versus Michael Doolittle, and then we have Gordon Lai versus the winner that we just saw, William.
Yep.
So I think probably we're going to be looking at the other side of semifinals for our next match. So we'll probably be seeing Matthew versus Michael up next. So we can get a bit of a taste of the other side.
Yep.
We have not seen Michael Doolittle's deck yet today.
No,
so
I don't think so.
that should be a pretty exciting addition to some of the decks that we've seen. Let me see if we can check what deck Michael is on. Michael is also on Quintessential Quintuplets.
All right.
And that would be against Matthew's 7 Deadly Sins, which we did see earlier on in the day. So we'll be able to see the return of that particular Escanor-based build against the Quintessential Quintuplets. So I definitely think that those 2 decks in particular have been more or less the standouts for the entire day.
I think they are probably the 2 most popular deck archetypes currently.
And they've also both been performing extremely well.
Yeah. They have definitely been performing well. So I think in the top 8 distribution, I believe was definitely, I think those 2 were the most popular ones.
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, it was 3 7 Deadly Sins, all of which were the Escanor type builds.
Yep.
And then 3 Quintessential Quintuplets, all of which were Nino builds.
Yep.
And then we had Clinton, who was playing, that time I got reincarnated as a slime. And then our last top 8 was Hololive, right?
Yeah, Hololive, who
It's,
I believe
Mark,
unfortunately
right?
has, lost in top 8, so we won't be able to see Hololive in the semifinals onwards.
So that means that our final 4 are 7 Deadly Sins, Quince, Quince, and who's the last one? It was Gordon, right?
Gordon, yes.
And 7 Deadly Sins.
All right, so we've got 2 each, and I think we've got 1 quintuplets and 1 7 Deadly Sins on each table. Right now?
Yeah.
So regardless of which half we watch, we're going to be on the same matchup. But the finals could be either way. It could be a mirror. It could be one of each.
Yeah, honestly, I would be pretty excited to see an Escanor mirror.
An Escanor mirror.
I would love to see the who hits 3 first, I'm going to explode you dynamic.
I am pretty curious how that deck deals with the mirror. As in, I think a lot of decks ultimately do try to have some kind of answers to the mirror, even if the opponent has the answer as well. You have to... I think they don't want to be at the mercy of just, taking damage or not taking damage. And I'm not too well versed in the Escanor deck myself, so I do know what the cards do, but I don't know what all the small detailed strategies are. And yeah, I guess if we do see the mirror, we get to find that out. So yeah, anyway this goes, I'll probably still be on the edge of my seat.
All right, so let me see if I can pull up our next 2 competitors' decks. I think they're just getting set up right now for the next game. Well, first we need to actually confirm if we have Matthew versus Michael being our next stream game. So let's go ahead and take a look. Yes. Okay, right. So it is Matthew versus Michael. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull up those deck lists. All right, let's see. So we have Michael bringing Michael's deck back, and then we have, or not bringing Michael's deck back, bringing Matthew's deck back.
Yep.
And we have Michael as well on Quince.
Yep.
This is...
I see 1 counter, which I don't think we've seen in a previous list.
A couple, actually. So we do have the... Well, actually, okay, so this is a memory counter, but it's just a yellow one instead of the Miku blue one.
It has a different name and a different color, but I think in this deck, aside from when you put it in clock, it has no functional difference. So
right. And then the other one is a 1/1 counter that refunds a stock when you use it.
Oh, okay.
So essentially equates to a 1-0 counter.
Yeah.
But they specifically gave Ichika the 1-1 refund counter because, with a choice-based deck, you want to have those soul triggers so that you can access those off of choice. So,
Yeah.
pretty
So I
nice
guess
design.
in this deck, it doesn't play choice, but just having the extra soul trigger on it and maybe the fact that it's yellow is why it's being played.
Perhaps. Yeah, we do have the return of the Ichika early play in this particular build, so we are going to be actually needing yellow in our clock at some point in order to try to put that on the board. Another interesting card that I don't think we've actually seen throughout the day, but is a very potent card that's being run here, is the 1-1 Itsuki that is a memory bomb. So unlike other red bombs that usually just reverse the character, this Itsuki has the ability to send the opponent's character to memory. So if they have a pretty important profile that they would really want to keep around, this can really put a damper on their day. And additionally, she does have that secondary utility effect where if you are at level 3 and she's on your board, you can sacrifice her to force your opponent to move one of their characters to an empty slot, or they can force the opponent to swap 2 of their characters. And so that can be a pretty disruptive strategy if your opponent kind of blew everything on their level 3 game, and you want to, and they left a slot open or something. Let's say they chumped a lane, and then you want to pull their brainstorm up so they have even less recovery options for a potential follow-up turn. You have plays such as that. So I think it is very interesting.
It also has the side effect of giving you a way of modulating your soul, so it can turn a direct attack into a front/side attack.
Oh,
So, on your final turn, it's pretty good at fixing soul around to make sure that you want to hit that right number. So that's probably something that could come up in this game, and I'm keen to see if that will happen. On the other side,
so looking back at Matthew's build of 7 Deadly Sins, we are seeing the return of that level 0 Escanor stock bomb that can stock bomb cards of level equal or lower than the number of copies in your waiting room. So this is proven to be a pretty disruptive card, especially against higher level characters, and if the opponent isn't quite paying total attention to the board state, sometimes that can result in some mishaps as well. But in particular, in Quince, because one of Quince's biggest players at level 1 is that blue Nino. Right? So this could be a pretty great card against that. Normally, the Nino can't be dealt with by anything that's a cost 0, but this is a very good card in that respect. Do you have anything that pops out to you?
No, I think we've already visited Matthew's list, and he might surprise us with something that we can't tell just by reading the cards. But at the moment, I think we've seen quite a lot. It's been proven to work, and hopefully it will work for him.
Yeah, I think there is one last card that I don't think we've covered, which is the 1-1 Galther. This is actually another 1-1 memory anti-change bomb.
So both of them are playing 1 each.
Just like the Itsuki that we just saw. But this Galther has both on play and on death optional mill 3. So if you want a lot of flexibility in how much deck size you have, this is a pretty great card. I think it's very interesting, actually, that in 7 Deadly Sins, Revival of the Commandments, we did see quite a few cards that have both on-play and on-death effects. So we saw the Elaine earlier in the Seamus match.
All right.
Still just setting up, I think.
It looks like they'll take just a little bit longer.
All right, so let's talk about the potential that we have for the finals. So obviously, there's the potential for Quince vs. Quince, or another Quince vs. SDS game to follow this one. But SDS Mirror. So we would have 2 of these Escanor builds. Is there any particular dynamic that you would be looking for if, hypothetically, we were to have an SDS Mirror match?
I think we've been talking about this earlier, but Escanor doesn't provide reach to the player. It just raises the bottom line of how much damage you can stick. So I believe in this mirror, you probably want to hit level 3 after your opponent. So you just want to push your opponent, which is what the deck basically does already. So you'd have to find a balance between doing damage yourself as well as maintaining your own deck compression. And I think just any small mistake can really cost you the game. So in the mirror, that's probably what you'd be looking out for. Do you think there's anything else?
The one thing that I had in particular was it's a very simple thing, I guess, but utilizing the Escanor during the early game and or the Gil Thunder potentially gets answered by that level 0 stock bomb Escanor. And while I don't feel like the Escanor has gigantic impact later on in the game. There are still uses for it. Like, for example, the Lost Vein, level 1 Meliodas. That requires another copy of itself to be on stage. If you were to stock bomb one of them using the Escanor, suddenly the other one is just a sitting duck.
Yeah.
And it's just free to get run over. Just does nothing.
There are a lot of small interactions for sure, but looks like we're cutting to our players. They're ready to roll. So I believe that's Matthew on the left.
We do have Matthew returning from the first round.
Yep.
And Matthew will be playing against Michael Doolittle. I think that's pretty interesting. Using a die to decide which of the going first and going second cards you will choose.
Truly random.
Really upping the randomness here.
Yep. All right. And players are getting ready.
All right, so I'm particularly excited to see Escanor in an environment where the opponent is not just eating 12. I would really like to see. I would really like to see Escanor getting some really good value out of some precise hits in the late game. But we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. For all we know, the 7 Deadly Sins player could just die from 2, as is a fairly common trend today.
Yep. Seems like it, but you know, who knows? Maybe these guys do have the top cut power of canceling more often than the previous players.
Oh, in that last game.
No, that was that was some crazy stuff going on.
I wish I could cancel like that.
Yeah, I wish I could cancel like that every day. All right. I feel like I can see the nervousness in the movements of their masks.
You can see in the shuffling as well.
Yeah,
it's
it's a bit fidgety.
Yeah, not quite as stable as if
like
they weren't in top 8, right?
Yeah. I feel like it was the locals. They'd, you know, feel a bit more relaxed and comfortable, less tension in their shoulders. But
yeah,
well, totally understandable. It's top 4 for Worlds.
It at least looks like the two of them. Obviously, I don't know if they know each other. They might, for all I know. But they look like they're kind of just chatting it up. Just trying to chill the nerves before they get into this game. Definitely a big game for sure.
Yep. Right.
Yeah, I definitely think that that Escanor level 0 is probably going to be the star card of the matchup. Let's see. Earlier in the day, we saw. What did we see Matthew playing against earlier in the day?
Oh, it escapes my mind.
Let's see.
I think it was a standby deck.
It was against another quintessential quintuplets deck.
Right.
So
he has all the experience he needs then.
I didn't notice this before, but a lot of early plays in this particular build. We have 2 copies of the Elizabeth and 3 copies of the Merlin as well.
Oh, you're right.
So gives a lot of options for play at level 2.
Although I guess he probably won't be playing too many of them in a single game, as he does sort of need the resource management to continue into level 3 so he can reliably go double finisher plus bounce.
Yeah.
So I guess it probably ups the consistency, but playing double early play in a single turn might not be part of his plan.
Additionally, both of these early plays have an early play condition of 2 or less. Personally, I was never too big of a fan of having multiple early plays in the same deck that have the same early play condition because it feels really all or nothing.
Yeah, when you have 2 different cards on different conditions, it does make it a little bit easier to work out a plan based on each.
Looks like we have just gotten right into the game, and we are seeing an immediate cancel from Michael.
So Matthew has started by playing the Gil Thunder Chaser right in the middle, and Michael has cancelled.
Yeah, so I don't know if you caught it, but Matthew's first trigger was a Soxel.
Oh, all right. So I guess Michael's pretty happy to cancel that one, because otherwise he would have started the game on 0-5.
Yeah. And by the looks of it, that is...
I did see a level 0 Itsuki reverser there. So if Michael chooses not to attack more than once, he can out the Gil Thunder. Whether or not he decides to do that is a bit difficult. You kind of do want 2 stock going into level 1 in this game. Sorry, in this deck. Sometimes, of course, you use the level 0 Ichika Riki. to search for a level 1/1 and then immediately play it down. But
I think it's very interesting that Michael's giving Matthew the option to run or not. I'm pretty sure you just always choose not to run.
yeah,
let your opponent
I
hit you
thought
for
he
2.
would go straight in front, and that's it. Okay, I guess if he's gonna dual lane, it doesn't really matter. But
Yeah, if you're gonna play the second character, then you're fine. That is slightly unfortunate. There is a climax on top of the deck with no standby target in the waiting room. We just have those 2/2s.
yeah. But he does have the option of discarding a card to draw the climax, I believe. Or does he not have any Ninos in his hand?
It was in Ichika Riki and Itsuki,
Yeah.
back row.
Looks like he doesn't.
So we'll just see a side for 2 into a direct for 2.
All right. So Matthew can stand his Gil Thunder and has a bit of a resource lead over here.
So another interesting thing that I've thought about throughout the day, regarding the level 0 Gil Thunder. We are seeing the 3,500 power climax swap here for
so
SES.
he's gotten the stock soul by tossing a choice. And that's the aforementioned level 0 Escanor. So it looks like he's going to be sending that Itsuki to stock, not letting it use the ability to look at the top 4 cards of the deck and dig a little bit further. Decompression is pretty important when you're playing quintuplets, especially against a finisher type deck like this. So that is pretty annoying, I think, for Michael.
I think, honestly, Michael just wants more standby targets in his waiting room.
Yeah.
And
Well,
getting rid of the Itsuki removes one of the means
Yes, absolutely.
of getting them there.
And well, those are 2 standby targets that he wants at level 1, which...
But he already has them there, actually.
Yeah, he already has them, so...
Yeah.
Unless he gets 3 standbys off in a single turn or something, I don't think it's going to matter a huge amount.
Yeah. Okay, so what I was saying earlier about the Gil Thunder, level 0, what I find very interesting about the Gil Thunder, so obviously we have seen it performing quite well throughout the day. There were those couple times where it's just like, this Gil Thunder will not die.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do think that another very powerful option that we haven't really seen too much of today, I think we did see it in someone's deck, I think it might have been Christian Yarbacher's deck, is the Meliodas Clean Cut. I feel like that card makes a lot of sense in the builds that run the Elizabeth Brainstorm, as it allows you to use them as attackers and then move them to the back row where they are safe. But here we are instead seeing the Gil Thunder level 0 being used. And another cancel coming out
I'm
for
not sure if Michael wanted to cancel there. That puts him in 0-4, which means that he can't Riki to hit level 1.
Oh, but he can Riki to hit level 1.
I'm not sure if that's something he wants to do when his opponent has 3/5 power characters, though. It is an option, I agree. Does he have these? He does have the level 2 combo.
Yeah, one of each, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it can... It means that he can hit over one of his opponent's characters at least, which isn't too bad. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure how Michael wants to play this turn out. He does have 2 stocks, so let's suppose he does go for the Riki into Riki line. What would the second Riki search for?
With the second Riki, I would probably search the level 0 Nino Ironwood to try to get some hand fix in the future. Obviously, if you Riki into Riki, your play is pretty much already set up as like Riki into play climax.
Yeah,
so you're already set to go. But you want a plan for later in that case. And unfortunately, we have the climax being hit off the top. And instead, Michael is just going to go straight for the level 0 James Ironwood Nino.
Looks like the case. So that does mean that if he plays that card down there, he's only going to be able to answer one of the 2 cards on Matthew's stage. All
right, so what will we see as the follow-up from here? And I think personally the question that I am curious about the answer to is what is going to happen with the other climax that is currently in Michael's hand? Because he has 1 copy of the level 2 climax as well as 1 copy of the level 3 climax.
Well, I don't think it's been a very popular play with the players that we've seen on stream today, but quite often I actually just keep the level 3 climax combo climax in my hand until I use it at the end of the game, just because I feel like this is a aggressive deck that tops it up with the finisher. So if you can't use the finisher, I don't think this deck can always reach its full potential. And just because of that, I think it is a line that's worth considering just to hold the climax of the rest of the game. But yeah, it looks like he's getting that level 0 Itsuki instead. Oh, going for the Brainstorm, okay.
I think I agree with going for the Brainstorm. Considering Michael's hand size and quality, it's not exactly the best. If you were to hit a standby, your standby quality is also not the best.
Understandable,
so
yeah.
It kind of just kills two birds with one stone.
Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if he does trigger a standby here on the first attack, he kind of has to lose something, which I don't think is...
You just say no way, and that doesn't happen. There you go.
Yep. You just need to believe hard enough.
Mm-hmm. And we will see the Itsuki reversing the Meliodas here next.
Yep, I believe that would be the case. Oh, yeah, Matthew is just considering what he wants to put in. Yep, and that reverses the character.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a tough consideration to decide on leveling that particular card, just because you really want access to all 4 copies in order to keep the card live.
Yeah. As well as if you have 1 copy in your deck, sometimes, even if you don't particularly want to have that card on the board, it becomes a way to discard a card without losing card advantage. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's sometimes a bit awkward to have to put that in, but I don't think any of the other yellow cards in his clock zone were particularly good options either. So, and he looks at 4 cards and he sees the blue level 1.
He looks at the top 4 cards and finds all the standby targets that he wishes were already in the waiting room.
Yeah. I don't think he has blue in his clock right now either, so that 1/1 that he added to his hand might not be able to be played.
So we see a Meliodas climax being added to the hand. I don't think the Meliodas 2/1 is actually there, but we do see at least 1 Elizabeth Brainstorm and at least 1 Elizabeth Climax.
Mm-hmm. So, if he can answer the whole the board, which honestly seems really easy right now, Matthew will probably be pretty comfortable in using the Brainstorm and the combo alongside it to push damage, maintain card advantage, set up for next turn.
Yeah, I think more than anything, he's just looking to get options for next turn.
Yep, and that seems like all the options he needs. That's a double hit on a Brainstorm, so he can salvage whatever he wants.
Yeah. Was that a choice and a Meliodas Stock Soul?
I believe it was. Went through it a little bit too fast.
Okay, and then is going to be picking up the level 1 Meliodas. This is the foil version of the Lost Vein Meliodas that requires another copy on the field.
Yep, so the non-foil version, if you needed to keep up, is the card in his level zone. It's the card of which has about, I think, 5 clones of him standing in the same picture. But anyway, there we are. Yep, so that's the same card.
And then in a lane, level 0, just for good measure. Potentially able to use her double filter effect later on to get some unneeded cards out of it, or immediately, and we see a Stock Soul at the top.
Yep.
That's not particularly a huge problem.
Well, he can just decide to draw that card, and then he can combo 2 turns in a row, which I don't think he minds at all.
You have a few options. So you can either draw the card and then use it on a future turn,
Yep.
or you can mill it off of an Elizabeth combo, and then it just
Yeah.
falls into the waiting room where it's not too bad. But, oh, no, we just have a second copy of the Brainstorm.
I guess it's option 3. So that does turn into card advantage, which, again, is pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I thought that was the Elizabeth Stock Bomb, the one that's like the Yoshino.
Yeah, yeah.
There are many Elizabeth cards that
There are
have
a
very
lot-
similar.
Yes, I think the 2/1 support Elizabeth that gives the level 3 Meliodas abilities also looks a little bit confusing.
Mm-hmm.
At least the foil looks less confusing. Anyhow, looks like Matthew has still quite a bit of deck left, so even if he attacks 3 times and double combos to mill 2, he's not going to go through enough to guarantee a level 1 refresh.
And I think Matthew has actually quite a few climaxes left in deck. I think two or so. I think.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, if he only really needs to cancel, or if he cancels twice, he's basically guaranteed to level up at 1.
Oh, there's one left in deck.
Yeah,
My bad.
all right. So if he cancels once, I think he still could level up. Depends how big the swing that he cancels is, but it also depends how much he cares about that, I guess. Anyway, still contemplating what to get off that Brainstorm. Looks like he's getting the
Another Lost Vein.
Lost Vein, yep. So he's playing over a lane. I think he has enough hand to justify that. And Lost Vein gets him through a few more, 2 more cards. Because each copy gets to look at 2 and keep 1. And
I definitely think, as far as the attack order goes, you start with the Gil Thunder, and then you move on to the Meliodas, because you want to keep yourself flexible. The Meliodas, as we have explained in previous games on the stream, you don't have to look at both cards. You can look at the first card, and then after looking at that, you can decide if you want to go on to the second card. And then from there, you can more or less modulate exactly how many cards are going through your deck. All right.
There's the last climax.
There's the last climax. These Meliodas are looking at 2 cards.
Yep. Rightio. So that's a level 0 salvage. He's getting back the Elaine and 1 more level 0, I think. Yeah, that's another brainstorm. So that's a copy of the level 0 Escanor bomb. And then
I was saying earlier that I think that the Escanor is going to be a big player in this game. And
it's definitely coming up quite a bit.
Yeah, Matthew proactively picking up the card. Did he have another one in his hand? I think he might have.
But he can discard it with a lane as well, so he can set it up quite well if he wants. Right, so look to top 2. Bit of thinking going on here. So I guess he wants to choose whether or not he wants to swing big or not.
Yeah, currently 4 out for Michael with 2 in hand.
Yep. So I think Michael probably won't be hitting level 1 this turn. Assuming he's...
Or level 2?
Level 2, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Level 1, absolutely, he is taking the damage to hit. And he's gotten rid of the early play, which... the anti-change memory bomb, which I think we said earlier that Matthew's playing 5 early plays, so there's enough cards which that card would be effective against, but I also think that Michael has enough ways of getting rid of small early plays anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. And he goes to 1/6.
These early plays are not really something that you really need to prioritize using removal on. Not only are they not very high in power, but they also get most of their value from their on-play effect, with the Elizabeth having an on-play top X, and the Merlin having an on-play choice between a heal to stock or a salvage or a bounce. Now, the thing you said about Michael not going to level 2, he is actually frighteningly close.
Yeah, so if he wants the card advantage, he kind of has to clock, and honestly, his hand size isn't looking too great, so he might have to go to it. But it also does have the option of brainstorming with the level 0 Ichika, and if he hits there, he should have enough hand size, and he should also refresh at level 1. And setting up his waiting room, not too spectacularly, I guess, for level 2, but it will at least have some card to bring out. Alright, so...
I believe I counted 5 climaxes in Michael's waiting room at this point.
Yeah.
So with the 2 in hand, that means there's 1 left in deck. I think Michael's thinking 2 things right now. The first thing that Michael's thinking is, God, do I really have to clock?
Ooh, he's clocking a climax.
Interesting. All right, I think that's probably a pretty good move. And then I think the second thing that Michael's thinking right now is like, God, I hope I don't draw my last climax if I clock right now.
Yeah. I thought he might have wanted to play that climax just to hit with a 2-soul attacker somewhere, though, because I don't see... I think I only see 1 climax in his hand.
Well, now, after clocking.
Oh, yeah, but I guess it makes sense if he wanted to avoid having 3 in hand, but if he draws into 1 from the top 2. But, yeah, I think the tempo swing that bringing out a 2-2 and immediately hitting with it, it's quite big, so losing that climax there is maybe a bit of a drawback.
Yeah, honestly, without the level 0 that allows Quince to... Oh, okay, never mind. Ignore I said... Pretend I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I was going to say, without the level 0 that shuffles 2 back, there's really not much value to be gained from slamming the Nino climax, which Michael still has in his hand.
Yeah, unless you're going for game, of course, but looks like he's not going to go for game using that climax, and he'll instead be using it to set up his board. All right, so that's 2 level 3 Ninos back in the deck, which will be standbys as long as there is an associated climax in the climax zone. How many lanes does it look like Michael's going to be able to deal with? Currently it's 0?
Looks like 0, yeah.
Yeah.
I think what the play might be is move the Ichika Brainstorm to the front row, put the 0-0 that just shuffled 2 back into the back row, play the climax, bounce back to hand, stand by something to the back row, and then if you hit any Ninos off of the attacks, then you just play stuff. Looks like that's exactly what we're seeing. And we're going to see the 1-1 Nino come out as well to fill out that 3rd lane.
Yep.
So
like you read his mind.
going to be contesting exactly one lane. The
Yep.
Nino becomes a 6-5 if you have two or more other characters, which will tie with the Lost Vein Meliodas, but due to Nino's effect not being able to be reversed by cost 0 characters, she will just win against him outright.
Yeah. But Michael could also bring out a 2K assist Ichika into that slot, which makes the level 0 Ichika at least match the middle.
Yeah, but
Looks
it
like
looked like
one
the effect went to the 1/1 Nino, which is actually unnecessary.
Yeah, so I think he's... But, well, at least we could match here. So I think he's going to try and match that lane and then replace it.
Yeah, I think it's the sort of thing though that like when you realize what could have been in retrospect,
yeah.
it's just kind of like a I could have done a little bit better.
Yeah, yeah. You don't lose anything by not giving it to the Nino, the level 1
Oh,
anyway.
just hit.
Okay, that also works, I guess.
Yeah, bringing out that 3/2 Nino that while she's in the front row gives all of your quintuplets characters plus 1500 power, going to result in that middle Ichika being 5000 instead of the previous 3500.
All right, so bit of thinking going on here. In terms of game plan, obviously Matthew just needs to maintain his damage lead and eventually transition into Escanor. Michael, I think, is probably going to be set in terms of keeping his board alive because of the assist Ichika and the Global 1/5 Nino now. But because he also did just use his combo for level 3, he will need to find a way to end the game when it gets to it. That may mean that he draws into the climax, or he might just accumulate a lot of stock and use the burn Ichika. That's the one, the burn change Ichika. Wait, sorry. Oh, yeah. There's a bit of confusion on what goes to stock and what goes to waiting room there, but I think they both noticed pretty quickly and fixed it. Anyway, so yeah, I don't think Michael needs to worry too much about his board being answered, unless Matthew decides to play the early play Merlin and bounce one of his cards. But in that case, it slows Matthew down from getting all of his pieces for the combo. So in either case, yeah, I think Michael's doing okay for the moment.
One thing I would like to note is that the Ichika was placed in a zone that is not behind the 3/2 in the front row.
Yeah.
We were mentioning earlier that the 1/1 Nino could just tie with the Lost Vein Meliodas, and no consequence could really happen to Michael. At the worst, Michael or Matthew might like counter, and then he still gets to keep his Nino.
Yeah.
So you still go 1 for 0, and if you're anticipating potentially hitting standby, or at least if you are planning around potentially hitting a standby and putting your intended standby target in that particular zone, I definitely think that the Ichika level 3 could have been placed on the left side so that it supports the cards that I personally feel would potentially need more supporting.
Yeah. So here they are. So Matthew just went through a refresh at 2-1. Probably
Yeah, and he
would have preferred level 1, but well.
went back 7, I believe, with a level 2 Meliodas climax in his hand, I think.
All right, so Michael has kind of just used up some of his options, so the standby in his hand and some of his stock to stabilize a bit, but I think he has stabilized at least, so he should be here just waiting to, not cancel below average, and that should get him set. Kind of curious what's in Matthew's hand at the moment.
Okay, so some of the cards that I did see were a couple copies of the Escanor Bomb, the Meliodas Climax, a 3/2 Merlin. I couldn't quite catch a glimpse of the other contents of the hand, but those were definitely some of the things that he was pondering over. I think there was an Elaine level 0 as well.
Yeah, he accessed that earlier, didn't he? So yeah, I think because he has 2 copies of the Escanor plus an Elaine, he can use Elaine to discard an Escanor and turn the other one in his hand into at least a level 1 bomb to deal with the level 1 Nino on Michael's board. And with only about 5,000 power on the Ichika, I think he can fairly easily deal with that as well if he wanted to. So he can out 2, and I think that's probably a start on stopping Michael from stabilizing it too much.
Well, currently nothing on the board actually contests the Ichika in the middle.
Yeah, you're right. So I guess he would have to find another copy of Lost Vein in order to do that. But
Oh,
he also did Clock Away.
I did see a good card that might help.
Yeah.
Well, okay, apart from the Merlin. So we are just going with the Merlin, but I did also see that Matthew did draw that Gauther bomb.
All right.
And so that would be able to both remove the 3/2 Ichika from the front row, just send it straight to memory, but also lower the power of the other characters in the front row, allowing the level 0 Ichika to be run over. But instead, we're just going to go for the bounce, I suppose, off of the Merlin early play.
But looks like Matthew is contemplating what to bounce. There is a reason to bounce either of the other level 2, I suppose, but it seems easiest to just bounce the front row one if he just wants to deal with the board. But again, from Matthew's perspective, while the front row level 3 does contribute to the board, it's not actually a threat in the sense that it doesn't really help Michael end the game. Like, yeah, sure, he can rearrange the top 2 and like give double trigger, but it doesn't create extra instances of damage.
Or it gives a choose your trigger, not double trigger.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, choose your trigger and rearrange top 2. Sorry about that. Yeah, but unlike the 2 back row cards, which actually increase your damage output directly.
We're going to see a heal to stock instead.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right, so he can answer currently 1 card on the board. Still?
Currently just 1, yeah.
Yep.
We're going to see a Brainstorm hitting. Choice hits the waiting room. I wonder if the Stock Soul in hand is going to be played this turn, or if it's saved for later, as it did look like Matthew had the King Climax swap in hand.
Oh, yeah. So I think, aside from obviously using it as a Climax swap fodder to get the choice, though, I believe these decks playing 4 of the Brainstorm combo and 2 of the 2-1 combo don't really care too much if they don't resolve the 2-1 combo at all. So yeah, as soon as he sees another Climax, I think he's just going to use one of them fairly liberally.
We are seeing the Gauther come down. Optional mill 3 off the top.
Yep.
3 clean.
3 clean.
And there is one particular thing that I do want to note about Matthew's hand currently. There is exactly 1 end game piece.
Yeah, that's
in that
a
hand.
bit of a concern, hey. And he's choosing to play over his characters as well, which is...
Oh, so what happened was Matthew did a heal to stock with the Merlin to send the level 0 Escanor from the clock to the stock, and then paid it out when the Gauther was played. So
now he can answer 2.
Nino
Now he can actually answer 3 lanes, but as we said earlier, Matthew doesn't seem too prepared for his endgame, so depending how damage progresses over the next 2 turns, he might be in a bit of a sticky situation.
Yeah, and I believe Michael is refreshing with all 8 here.
Yeah.
After that last cancel.
Although he is going 8 back, he has no cards in his clock, only 3 stock, and his hand size isn't that big either, so I wouldn't say his compression is fantastic. Just
honestly, his hand size hasn't been great like the entire game. I think.
Yeah.
And the fact that the board is getting completely wiped here is not really helping.
Yeah,
That's definitely not helping.
That's not helping either. All right, and takes a 2 as well. Looks like it's going to be a time of kind of biding for Michael. He's going to have to just grit his teeth and, live with what he has for a bit.
Yeah, at the very least, though, we do have a couple open lanes that Michael can take advantage of here. I don't think that's what you want to see when you don't have a 2-2 in your waiting room.
Yeah. If he does get a 2-2 in the waiting room, though, it's, as I said, a pretty good tempo swing. So
the question is how.
Yeah, that is probably the big one. Having a bit of difficulty seeing what else is in his hand, but...
it looked like a 3-2 Miku and a 3-2 Nino combo.
Ooh, that's a card that potentially gets a 2-2 in the waiting room. That is a Ishika Brainstorm. He also drew a copy of the level 3 Climax combo. Sorry, like the Climax.
Climax, yeah.
So Matthew doesn't know that Michael's drawn that, but because Michael does have that now, he can start gearing his game towards that finishing turn instead of just hoping he draws it. Now that he knows that he has it, he can start collecting pieces and setting up his board accordingly. So I'm interested to see how he's going to transition into that. But
I'm interested to see whether or not this Brainstorm will hit.
Yeah. Because I guess if you mill a 2-2 here, that's also like, in a sense, you could call it a hit. I mean, your hand size won't increase, but you have a 2-2 in the waiting room, you can immediately attack with it, and if you're lucky, it means that you have more compression, so you can trigger a standby and put your finisher on your board or something.
From this position, I definitely want to hit. If you have to rest, if you have to rest 2 of these characters,
Yeah.
and ideally, probably use the Ichika's secondary ability as well.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely use both if I'm using the Brainstorm.
Oh,
Ooh.
just changing straight into Miku. So
Yeah.
we're going straight into attack phase with 2 attackers, just the Ichika and the Miku, with no Brainstorm whatsoever.
Yeah, it seems like the case. And
Using the on-play search of the Miku. Earlier, we did mention that it's really nice that the 3-2 Ichika changer allows you to bring out these like healers at level 2 and still be able to use their heal abilities. But here we're seeing something completely different, using it to bring out the Miku instead, use the search, and advance towards that late game setup. That being said,
that's a very unexpected search target.
Yep.
Typically, when you search with the Miku level 3, you kind of just go straight to what you need for your endgame, just because it doesn't come out until quite later in the game.
But instead, Michael is getting
like a bridge card, yeah.
Yeah, which doesn't even guarantee anything in particular.
Yeah. It also is interesting that he decided to not put the Miku in front of the
3-2 Ichika, the 3-2 Ichika in the back.
Yes,
Yeah,
that too. But he decided not to assist it with the Ichika and not to fight Merlin, which I believe only is it 9,000 or 9,500?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, it is only 9,000.
Yeah, it's below 10,000 power. So just a vanilla swing there should probably deal with the board, but very unexpected.
I think maybe the idea is because he's only going with 2 attackers, he might as well get the direct attack.
Yeah, I suppose so. But I think there's also an argument to be made about just moving the Ichika assist to the front row and putting the Miku in the middle. That way you make 3 attacks. It's not like you really need to have Ichika for the end game because you can bring it out of your standby as well.
But maybe what the idea behind this is that the Ichika is valued for the extra potential soul output.
Yeah,
so
well, at least this way you can immediately proc the effect when you play the standby for the level 3 combo, and you get the first effect off, which you can't do if you bring out the Ichika herself with the standby. So I can think of a few reasons, but I am quite curious on that. Yeah. But Matthew has been hit up.
Yeah, so
level 3.
Another idea that I have regarding this line, so I think that Michael doesn't really care about not killing the Merlin, instead cares about prioritizing the damage.
Yeah.
Maybe Michael has recognized that Matthew's hand just really is not sculpted very well for the late game, and so as we did just even see here, Matthew is at 3-0, having to clock to try to get pieces.
Yep.
And with this play, maybe Michael is saying, I don't care, you can have that Merlin, you still don't have your late game, whatever, dude.
Yeah. Not to mention that just, as we keep saying, Escanor is not particularly good at ending games from like a longer range, and Michael is on 2-6, which questionably is maybe a longer range, but it is somewhat safe based on what we know of Matthew's hand. Oh, that's a double early play, except it's not early.
This one's not early, yeah. But it looks like we are getting set for double Elizabeth combo in a sec.
Yep, sounds like that's gonna happen. Yeah, here we are.
Yeah, so Matthew should know exactly what's on top based on the King Climax swap having been played. So we'll go ahead and mill 2. The first one, unfortunately, level 0. That's not what we're looking for. We're trying to get some higher level cards. Let's see what we can get.
That's an Elaine, which I guess assists Matthew in getting his next pieces. And he stocked a copy of the level 0 Escanor bomb, and he's also added an Escanor level 0 to his hand. Not the bomb one, the one that adds 2 cards to your hand.
Right.
So he is setting up that 3 lands. But Michael...
I don't like where this is going.
Yeah, I feel like we've experienced something similar to before.
I don't like where this is going. I don't like where this is going.
All right.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Don't do... Okay.
All right, and interestingly, that level 3 Miku survived. So looks like Michael's finisher setup got just a little bit stronger. It looks like Matthew's deck is thin enough that Michael can make a pretty good guess on how much damage it's going to land if he uses the ability of Miku. or at least he will probably be able to make Matthew go to a refresh point as well, which is one guaranteed damage in a sense. It's quite important.
So 3 climaxes in waiting room, 1 in clock, and what looked like 3 more in hand?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Michael's going to be going for game here. All right, so that's the card that he searched for earlier. He's discarding to reveal the top card of the deck. He's going to salvage a level 0.
And as we were saying earlier, no guarantees
Yeah.
when you search a card like this.
He's going to get a Brainstorm, all right.
Getting a Brainstorm with a fairly large deck and
that many climaxes out? Yeah.
1 climax at most in the deck right now.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like just going for another level 3 might have been the better play. Like maybe,
Yeah, last turn.
maybe if Michael was at like low 2, then going for the level 0 Nino probably seems like a really good play because it gives you options in case you don't go to 3. But Michael was already at 2-6.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I feel like you just grab late game.
Yeah, I think the number of windows that you can get where a very low power bridge card like that is going to help you is very low. I think you'd often even just expect 0 here. So yeah, going straight for the combo there probably sounded like a better idea. But anyhow, that is a copy of the level 3 Nino. Does he have anything else in his hand that looks like it does extra damage?
Well, we have the 3-2 Ichika from the last turn, which doesn't do extra damage, but putting it on the board could potentially represent more damage later.
I suppose, yeah.
Actually, I think what potentially would have been the better play is play the Ichika, use the burn,
text,
and then change into the 3-2 Nino, right?
I think that would have been 1 more damage that Michael would probably appreciate a lot.
Let's just hope that we don't end the turn with Matthew with 3-6.
Yeah, well, hope that's not the case. All right, so brings out a copy of the level 3.
And then has the opportunity to assign Soul here with the Ichika.
Yep.
I don't think it...
Looks like there was no declaration, and we're going straight into Miku.
Pay to discard 1, the opponent mills the bottom 4.
Yep.
Oh, baby.
Ooh. Oh, all right. So that's 2, and we've milled 3 cards. So there's at least one more card getting milled off this, and it burns for at least 2.
That looked like a refresh with 5, was it?
Yeah, that looks really rough.
And we're starting it off with a burn 2.
+1 guaranteed refresh penalty. So if that 2 lands,
we're in for a world of hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if this 2 lands and the refresh point is taken into account, we're seeing 2 out of 4 attacks have to land.
All right, so... All right,
okay.
So...
Any 2 of these 4 needs to land. There's 1 cancel.
Yep. Oh, it starts with the level 3, the finisher. Okay, true.
There's the second one.
All right, so that's 2 swings for lethal with the burn 3 and the direct for 2+.
Burn for 3.
And the 3
That's
lands.
going to be Michael taking it.
Michael advances to the World Finals.
Oh, he is definitely sweating it out right now.
He looks exhausted.
Yeah, what do you think was the most nerve-wracking part of that game?
I don't know. It was quite nerve-wracking overall, but I think just watching Matthew's hand not progress too well, but at the same time his damage, this damage was progressing. I felt like it just became tougher and tougher for Matthew, and yeah, watching that was that was nerve-wracking.
Yeah, that we have been saying throughout the day that with these Escanor builds, the sculpting can be a potential issue. You have to get
it's hard.
You have to get so many specific cards.
Yeah.
And then fill the board.
Yes. And you have to keep pushing damage before that as well, because, I mean, in the case of Nino, for example, yeah, you have the damage output. So if your opponent's not compressed enough or you're a little bit lucky, you'll still be able to win through your opponent being on 2-5. But in the case of Escanor, that's not how it works. So you need to put your opponent on level 3. You need to have, like, all these pieces for Escanor, and, you have to cancel a decent amount as well. So there's a lot of things you have to get ready, and I think, that's probably what people struggle with when playing Escanor.
But that being said, so you said that the thing that you felt was most nerve-wracking, or maybe one of the things.
One of the things, yeah.
Was watching Matthew's hand not progress very well.
Yeah.
On my end, I think that what I was most concerned about was watching Michael's hand just be tiny and have his entire board just getting wiped.
Yeah.
And, like, if it were me in that position, I would just be like, oh, no. Like,
yeah.
Like I was saying throughout the game, I feel like things that were going through Michael's head were things like, dude, do I really got a clock here? And it's also like, what if I don't draw like playables, because like that hand quality honestly was just like 2 levels ahead of where it should have been. Like he was pretty well sculpted if he was at 3-1, 3-2. He was at 1-6 and with no front row.
Yep.
And so
minimal stock as well.
Yeah. Funnily enough, the thing that was really interesting in that game that we noted regarding the 3-2 Miku, for multiple reasons, not putting it in front of the Merlin, but more importantly, not putting the Ichigo behind it.
Yeah.
I think was maybe just the nerves.
Maybe, yeah. It has been a long day, and this is the semi-finals that we just watched. So.
Yeah, but in this particular case, Merlin being just 9K base power, 2 copies of those, was not able to get over the Miku even without the boost from the Ichiga. And then in that last play, that Miku just blew him out.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, you got 2 climaxes in deck? No, you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess you said that the amount of hand that Michael had for a lot of that game was a bit nerve-wracking, but I played quite a lot of quintuplets for the last 6 or so months, and I guess it's just something you get used to, but as you know, that deck doesn't have very many ways of gaining hands, so
right.
I think I've just gotten used to playing with fewer resources, and it's something that I've trained myself to experience.
The deck kind of makes up for it because of how efficient the late game is, but it just feels terrible.
Oh yeah, no,
it feels
awful.
It's
It's not comfortable.
Like,
metaphorically, I would liken it to like, well, there's a tightrope in front of you, and instead of playing carefully, you decide, I'm going to run fast and like hope I don't fall or something. Yeah. That's just how it feels, and with enough practice for the deck, I guess you learn to feel a bit better about it, but it's never comfortable though.
Yeah, and this is kind of why for like that Attack on Titan build that I had championed so much with like the blue-yellow variant that specifically targets Quince. I played against a friend of mine around the time I built it, and he was playing Quince. And when I saw that I was matched up against him, I was like, yes! And then he didn't understand why. And then when we started playing the game, he was just like, dude. So like the 2-1 combo killing my 1-1, 1-0 Connie, anti-encore for my 2-2, and like I can just imagine how awful it must have felt. Because on my end, I am making this person feel so awful right now.
All the stuff that you need to like keep you in the game is slowly getting plucked out. So that would hurt. Hey?
Yeah, I always assumed that like from the first times that I played against Quince, I didn't think that it was super amazing, just because I don't personally value the standby type of combos where like it stands the target, because I personally more value like getting value out of standby past just the standby itself. So like I'm a big fan of level 1 climax combo standby lines, especially cards like Eris.
If you go back further, I guess Kaede from Arbiter would probably be.
Other ones like Kaguya. And so in that respect, my personal viewpoint towards Quince was that it's just like you need to just get these encores out onto the board and then just like get so much hand. And that was just sort of my initial perspective on it. And definitely we do see a pretty wide spectrum of ways the game can go if you are running on low resources. All right.
Looks like we're ready to watch the grand finals. So I'm not entirely aware. I believe that's Gordon Lai.
So we have William. This was William.
Sorry, it's William. Yes, of course.
And I believe, did we have William earlier? We did, right?
Yeah, I believe we did. I think he just looks different from the left than from the right.
Let's see. Did we have William earlier? I actually don't think we did.
William 10. Wasn't William the player whose favorite card is the...
Oh, it was.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
It was the Quince.
Yes. So it looks like our finals is a Quince mirror, and although we do have the much-awaited Escanor mirror going on, that will be the third-place decider match, and we will not be watching that in real time, unfortunately. But yep, it is going to be Quince versus Quince. Here we are.
Sort of. Oh, there we go.
There we are.
All right, so we have Michael, who we just saw, against William in the finals with the Quince mirror. And then in third and fourth place, we will have unfortunately, the game that I was quite excited to
Yep.
see, Matthew
Yep.
versus Gordon
Yep.
playing the
Escanor
mirror. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, also, before I forget, one more thing that I do need to bring up. I had been meaning to bring this up for several rounds, but I keep forgetting.
Yep.
In the 6th round match
Yes.
between Simu and Christian,
Christian, yep.
we were discussing so passionately about
Yep.
like, oh yeah, you should just like snap play the 2-1 counter if you have 2 copies of
Yeah.
it in your hand, because you can just play the other one.
Yeah.
But you can only use it on the Meliodas.
Oh, yes, of course.
And then one of those got bounced.
Yeah,
So,
it's all right.
okay, getting right into the game, we have a mulligan 0. No, we have a mulligan 1 from Michael and a mulligan 3 from William. Very
Very start.
fast gameplay here.
Yep. I would also just like to note that this is not only a quintuplets mirror, but it seems like a Canadian mirror. So,
Ah, yes.
yep. Regardless of who wins this, Canada and quintuplets will be taking the cup for.
Yeah, Canada gets bragging rights for this year. Now, I'm not sure where in Canada these players are from, because I know there's a pretty big vocal community in BC, right?
Yeah.
And then, but there's also players from other parts of Canada.
I
So
think Calgary also has a community going on there. So. Anyhow.
this is not the most fantastic looking opening hand for Michael, having to play a Ricky as your playable on turn 1.
Yeah, it is kind of a. Ooh, okay. I was about to say, when you play Rickies in your deck, you need to make a turn 1 attack so you can play any Rickies that you draw later on.
But
instead, you just play both Rickies out. So maybe it's a bit of a different thought pattern here. On the other hand, Williams' opening hand seemed amazing. He triggered a standby. He brought out a 1/1. It's the 1/1 you want in the mirror because it, unlike the blue one, doesn't immediately fold to the opponent's costed characters. And if this level 0 each card gets answered, he can pay 1, which is the climax, and clock 1, and ideally gain 2 cards. But arguably even better, it didn't even get answered. So strong start here for William.
Here we're kind of seeing the duality of Quints.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's actually just kind of a difference between, or at least it is a difference that I have seen more prominently between the Japanese builds and the Western builds, where I feel like Western builds tend to favor the Ricky more, whereas the Japanese builds, they tend to favor the like Aqua type effect. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but it's just a pattern that I feel like I have observed.
I think there's a player who used the Aqua Shenlin, whatever you want to call it, type build. And I think it's top like 3 events in the first half of 2022. So I think
English format, right?
Oh, in Japanese.
Oh, in Japanese. Okay.
Yeah. So I believe what you may be thinking is like a Japanese trend might actually just be one guy.
Oh, I've definitely seen plenty. Like
Okay.
I don't think I've seen a single Ichika Riki being played in a Japanese Quints list.
Oh, really?
In like quite a while.
Okay.
Or specifically in the Nino type ones, of course.
Oh, all right. I think I've seen quite a few actually, but I think well, the type using the 2K Ichika instead, it's probably more popular in Japan than it is overseas. I can maybe attribute that to the somewhat popular Danmachi in English, especially in the regional level, not the world level, I guess, because we didn't see that many Danmachis. But when it gets answered by the level 0 Aino bomb, it doesn't get to use the effect, and you're already in a tough matchup. So I think to just avoid that happening, it maybe wasn't as popular during the BCS season.
Yeah.
Anyhow, looks like William is just further and further advancing his advantage while Michael is trying to catch up. That's a standby, so
we could see some recovery here.
Yeah, that might be a point of comeback. So yeah, he can use that to ensure that William can't use the abilities of one of his cards when it goes to the waiting room. It's going to go for the brainstorm, okay.
It's always a pretty interesting conversation when you see like a standby climax on top of your deck. It's like, do you brainstorm or do you go for the standby itself? Because like obviously you would be burying the climax fairly deep, but sometimes the value of a single standby climax is just so much more.
Yeah, I mean, you get a character on the board, you technically gain 2 stock, although you immediately use it because you just don't pay the 2 stock on the character. Yeah, it's so much value compared to a brainstorm where you use 1 stock and you only gain 1 card and you don't get the stock back. So it's like a 3-stock difference if you think about it, and whether or not you need to pay out the climax is just the only thing you need to consider at that point. So
Michael's just kind of going for a bunch of fixing, hasn't really played anything that can address Williams' board super well. Meanwhile, Michael's thinking, you didn't shuffle back 2, what's wrong with you?
yeah, I think Michael is going to have to find a point in a game, a turning point, in which he can establish either like a damage advantage or a board advantage, and use that to try and flip the game back in his favor. And it's pretty hard to, work out what that point is in the mirror, because you both have pretty similar tools, and especially quintuplets is a deck that kind of prides itself more on breaking boards than winning on defense.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so interesting that Michael played that level, the level 0 Itsuki in the back row, but didn't use the ability here.
Well, no point in using it if you can't kill anything.
Yeah, I guess so. But from what it looks like he has enough space in his hand to just leave it there for the moment. So I thought that might be the case.
Enough space in his hand. I'm looking at Michael's hand, and I'm thinking, look, ma, no hands. Like, he played a climax just now and went down to, like, 3 hands.
Something like that, yeah. So if he triggered another standby here, and he had to play over one of his back row, that would be kind of a neg compared to just keeping the level 0 that he didn't use in his hand for a moment. Another thing is that in the mirror, typically when you play a 2-2 in the front row before your opponent, you kind of put yourself at a disadvantage, because
Here comes
now your
theirs.
opponent can, your opponent can hit over your one with their copy. And not only that, they can use their Itsuki to clock shoot it. But it looks like William isn't actually playing that Itsuki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This deck really just wants 4 copies of the shuffle back 2.
Seems like it. So yeah, I'm not sure if Michael was aware of that slight variation in William's deck, but that putting that 2-2 in the front row is not nearly as much of a liability as it would be in certain other mirror matches.
Yeah. So, hypothetically, if it were a mirror where both players are running the level 0 Itsuki, what would you do upon hitting one first? Would you just try to, like, maybe stall out playing your 2-2? Well, actually, no, that doesn't even work, because you wouldn't be able to give an Itsuki buff on a 2-2 that was brought out via the climax, right?
Oh, no, you can buff a 1-1, sorry.
Oh, sure.
You can buff a 1-1-7-5 to go to 8k, and then you can match and then shoot the opponent.
Okay, sure.
Sorry, I was a bit unclear on that one.
Yeah.
But well, what do I do in the mirror? So this is similar to how you deal with that type of card in other matchups, but that type of card is only able to assign the ability to one character, obviously. Which means that if you put 2 in the front row, only one of them gets answered. So what I would try and do is put more than one card in the front row, which has an ability that my opponent wants to shut down.
Okay.
And then make my opponent decide on one. And sure, I have to lose one because that's just how it works. But at least I don't put one out at a time and just let my opponent pick each one off. I think putting out 2 and then letting your opponent deal with 1, but you have 1 that gain value over turns.
Okay.
Is probably how you want to play it out.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess that would come down to you play the standby, you bring out the 2-2, you stand it, and then you just hope you hit a second standby.
Sometimes I think you can actually just hard play a red 1-1 from your hand, or you can put a 2-2 in the back row and then wait until your next turn to bring out another 2-2. Or it depends on how your early game goes and how you fight your opponent's stuff. I think particularly in this matchup, Williams level 0 is having 500 more power than Michael's ones. In the Ichika's being 2k versus 1-5 has definitely paid off, and he's also gone first, so maybe Michael doesn't really have the the comfort of doing so, but it is a line worth considering.
Reaching for Ricky here.
Yeah, there's a lot of accessing bridge cards kind of plays that we're seeing from Michael today. Sorry, I made a brief mention about going first and second actually, but from my experience of playing quintuplets, I think this deck has very polarizing win rates going first and second, even compared to other decks. Just like, because you don't gain card advantage through your combos, just the fact that you are 2 cards up by going first, I feel like is a pretty big factor in whether or not you win the game when you play this deck. As an this is very anecdotal evidence, but my run in my own BCS where I went 5-2, all the games I went first I won, and all the games I went second I lost. So I feel like just by virtue of going first in this mirror, William is at a pretty big advantage, and his level 0 is being bigger, as well as the fact that he's gotten his level 1s and stuff online earlier, has very much exacerbated the issue, I think.
I definitely think that we have reached a very strong point for Michael being able to permanently remove that 2-2 from the board.
Yes. So it is putting in the work finally.
And then I don't think the fact that these 0-0s are just now dying is too important, as
I think they've already got it. Like,
well,
they've put in the work.
I think more importantly, Michael is just now eating the damage. I think is the more important part.
Yes.
But there has definitely been some plussing that did not require paying 1 stock nor clocking the top card of your deck. These Ichikas have been here for a bit.
Your card surviving and then being able to hit over your opponent is probably the strongest form of plus that you can have in this game. So, yeah, it's better than paying stock for your next play.
Yeah, it's like they say that a climax combo that doesn't cost you any stock is good.
Yeah.
How about basically a climax combo that didn't require any stock and also didn't actually require a climax?
Mm-hmm. It's probably the best of everything.
Pretty,
can't get better than that.
Pretty underrated.
Yep. But yeah, as you said, I think Michael has very much stabilized. He's got 2 2-2s, whereas William is 0 because Michael was able to clock shoot the 2-2 away. One of his 2-2s can be answered by the red 1-1, but the blue 1-1's probably just got to fight the Ichika this turn and then, say bye-bye.
Hard play 2-2 to attack the one on top.
That's a very standby mirror typical play. If your stuff gets answered, you have to hardcast it.
And we're just going straight into attacks. The William special. Although that being said, taking a look at his hand, there's not really too much to do right now.
Yeah. For a standby, what will it be this time?
Do we have a 3-2 Ichika in waiting room? I feel like that's usually
I think that's usually the line, yeah. But finisher is also arguable. Yeah. Looks like it's going to be the change today.
I like the Ichika considering William's hand. It did look like William had both a 3-2 Nino as well as a 3-2 Miku. So you have the option to either go into the heal next, go into a search next, on the fly by changing into it with the Ichika.
Pretty much. And if he hits level 3, he can actually just he can play the Miku and then search for another card that he wants to play out of his hand and then change into it using the Ichika change. So yeah, definitely the flexibility offered by that play is pretty good. And encoring his characters.
Michael just bleeding hand, having to encore these 2-2s every turn. That's the thing. That's the thing about about Nino, is that she has really, really high offense.
Yeah.
Her defense, while not insanely low,
is
definitely contestable. And then sometimes you end up in situations like this. Michael is flipping through his hand of 2 cards right now.
That makes sense. Michael does have, I think, 4 stock or 5 stock.
He has 5 stock, but he's
so that's
in no way ready for the late game based on that hand.
No, it's not. But you actually don't need that much stock as long as you can just stand by your stuff out on the board. So he can use that stock to pay 2 and salvage. He can pay 3 encore if he wants.
Mm-hmm.
His hand size is a bit concerning, but if the quality is high enough, it actually is probably not that bad. So it depends on the draws there. I think I saw a level 2 combo climax, a 1-1, and level 0?
It was indeed a level 2 climax, yeah. I think Michael was definitely hoping for the level 3 climax, though, as it secures it for the late game, and he can just then focus on using things like Brainstorm to grab the 3-2s, but unfortunately this Brainstorm just misses outright.
Yep. Which could mean that he gets to trigger more climaxes, but...
Okay, but... Well, the Brainstorm did put a 2-2 in the waiting room.
Yeah, so he can use it to immediately make another big 2-swing.
So we'll see. Not going for the clock swap ability here, just going for the value.
Yeah.
Grabbing the 3-2. And then probably stand by out a 2-2 and stand it. Yep, here it comes.
Yep.
Quince Mirror. I wipe your board, you wipe my board.
Yep. Oh, that's a big 3. That definitely is a big swing in Michael's favor.
Okay, good cancel coming out here from the second swing. Looks like, 6 out, and then 1 in stock.
Yep, it looks like, and that's a standby. So I think Michael is also kind of ready to start pushing. Looks like he's going for Miku.
Yeah, I think that in light of his poor hand quality, I think that instead of going for like a 3-2 Ichika, the plan is just to go straight for the card that you would want to bring out anyway.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So whether or not this front for 3 lands or not is going to be a pretty big factor in how this game plays.
Yeah, for both players. William could very easily just go for the Omae wa mo shindeiru if he hits level 3 right now.
Yep.
But not without a climax in his hand. 2 anti-change counters, which...
2 of the 3.
Yeah, as we looked at earlier, 3 copies of that Nino anti-change just really wants to scare off those early plays. But
all right, so that 3 lands.
Here we go. All right, so does he get the climax is the real question.
It's a tough one. And No Time lets all of them go. Interesting. And clocks and does not draw the correct climax, but where is his climax swap?
It's there.
It is there?
It's
all right.
there.
So he's ready, hey?
Not really.
Oh, no, he doesn't have a waiting room.
Yeah.
So he needs to mill out somehow, doesn't he? And then cannon climaxes.
What climax was it that he triggered last turn? I don't quite remember. Maybe we'll find out in a second.
I guess we'll find out.
Okay, it's time. So we're probably going to see the 3-2 Miku coming down here, which will search a 3-2 Nino, which the Ichika can then change into. After burning 1, we have a lot of damage potential coming in here. Or actually, would you rather spend 2 stock on using an Ichika or on using Miku's effect? Because you can use them on either one.
I think in general, you'd rather go for Ichika because it's just easier to manage. As in, you know, Miku is generally, like, you'd expect it to burn 1 if it on a thick deck. If it's anything thin, then yeah, you know what it's got to do, so it's easier to balance out. But it's just easier to manage the numbers this way. Because if you just miss completely on Miku, well, it doesn't help you a lot.
Wait a minute. 1, 2... Okay, yeah. I was trying to think that if he used the hand to stock, is it possible to use everything?
Yeah.
But it's not.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
I think if you had 1 more stock, I think you could do everything. Like everything. You could use the Ichika burn, the Miku burn, and both Ninos, but...
all right, looks like he's going for Miku here, and...
2?
2, oh.
That's what you like to see.
Bad.
That's not what you like to see.
That ripped 3 climaxes out on its own, though. So, and then there's a climax.
That's
that's
a small deck.
That's a standby. Yeah, that is pretty thin. I guess in this case, it's quite fine to go with Miku instead. Maybe I'm just traumatized from the time I played in regionals and I missed a Miku on my opponent's 2 and 6.
I can do better than that, but we'll talk about that after the game. Here comes a swing for...
So that's
for 4, because when he shuffled back 2...
Yeah, he assigned the soul here.
Oh, no.
Oh.
So this is actually a lethal burn 3 incoming because of the refresh.
Yeah.
What is this bottom card? Okay, all right. That's a good start. So you need a trigger here in order for it to be double lethal.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's only single lethal.
Otherwise, Michael can afford to take the 2 and then just needs to cancel the 3, and he's at least still in the game. And we'll probably need to push on his own turn, though.
He's got a pretty good start with the 3-2 Miku and the 3-2 Nino in his hand, but no climax to be seen. Decent amount of stock to potentially try to get into more stuff.
Yeah.
But outside of that, this is looking to be pretty down to the wire, at least for Michael. We don't know how much potential he has going into attacking William until unless he makes it out of here.
3 cancels.
Can he get 1 more cancel?
1 more cancel?
1 more cancel?
No.
And that is going to be William.
So William Hang is the BCS 2022 Weiss Schwarz World Champion.
I don't know if you caught that in the...
Oh, he looked excited.
Yeah, he went straight into the camera and was like, "Let's go."
Yeah. Well, you'll see more of these guys at the award ceremony, but yep, that is it for the gameplay this tournament, and I think we'll cut back to us in a moment.
Yeah. So we have seen obviously a lot of quintessential quintuplets today.
Yep.
I think we did mention at the start of the day that despite the hits to quintessential quintuplets, that we felt that it was still going to be a pretty strong deck.
Yeah, I think it was the deck to watch out for. I think it was possibly the most represented deck overall.
I think there was, what, seven?
Yeah,
seven
I think we
Ninos?
counted at least 7. We may have got a few numbers wrong, but if not the most represented, it was definitely the second most represented. So yeah, it was popular and definitely strong as well, I guess.
Yeah, definitely the big strength that we saw today was the efficiency with the moves that you can do at level 3,
Yeah.
and also the various flexibility that you have offered by the 3/2 Ichika. I know that's the bouncer, the
Yes,
change
yes.
that is one card that I know is on a lot of people's radar.
Yeah.
Even in the JP format, when a new restriction list was incoming, I knew that, including myself, some people thought that maybe that 3/2 Ichika changer was something that could potentially be a card that gets hit.
Yeah, I think it would be no surprise if they did restrict that card. It does increase the range of things that the deck can do by quite a lot. Just sometimes it gives you stock by letting you play out stuff free. Sometimes it burns cards. Sometimes it does both. Yeah, no, I think if it gets restricted, you know, it's kind of proven itself. So you just be that good. So yeah, no surprises there.
But as far as just English, so when in just English we have a 2-card restriction list.
Yep.
When
we have the level 0 and the event.
When JP had these exact sets, it was a 3-card restriction list that they got. So some people in the English player base have obviously expressed a few concerns, maybe that the 2-card restriction list wasn't quite good enough, and that maybe they should have gone with a 3-card list, or maybe just a different list altogether.
Possibly, yeah. But I think quintuplets, you know, first and second place at Worlds, it's definitely proven itself that even with this restriction, it is definitely like top of the crop type of deck. So I think it might, in fact, be restricted again before we go into the next Bushiroad Springfest season, or possibly Bushiroad Rumble Online. So, yeah.
I think that might be a little bit too soon for another restriction, because obviously the most recent one that we had was just yesterday.
Yeah, it's implemented yesterday, announced a month ago. So.
Yeah, right. And but I feel like maybe another restriction list probably would happen, if anything, if it happens, probably before the start of the Bushiroad Championship Series 2023 series.
I would be pretty surprised if I found out that it's just as it is for BCS with the expansion as well. So yeah, I think it can only get better with the expansion if you don't if you don't deal with the restrictions. So yeah, I think that about wraps up our thoughts on Nino though. Yeah. So before I forget, so that 2-6 miss that you had, right? Oh yes.
Yeah, there was this one time at locals I was 3-7, and I really wanted to climax the push because my opponent was out like a million. Yeah. Armin Brainstorm. Fill in the blank.
Go Weiss Schwarz day.
Yeah. Sometimes it just be like that. Whether it's you're 3-7, you take 4, or you're 3-7, Brainstorm 4, hit 0. Sometimes things like that just don't work out in your favor. Like I think even crazier than that, there was one time where I was playing Yukina Birdcage, and I got what's it called? The Konosuba, the counter, the foreclosure.
Foreclosure, yes.
So I got foreclosured for 3.
Yeah. And
in a 17-card deck with 3 climaxes left.
All 3 left.
And it hit all 3. And then I just got destroyed the next turn.
So this happens when you play WS. But I think we're going to have a small break and then cut to the award ceremony quite soon. So stay tuned so we can celebrate the victories of our top players of BCS 2022. And yeah, we'll cut to the break.
All right. See you guys in a sec.